Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Two Sushi Rolls podcast. I am your host. My name is George E. I am the Papa Bear of the castle.
And I'm Leslie E., and I'm the Mama Bear here.
And today you are joining us for episode number 1 of our new series. And today's episode is very special to us. Not only because it's our first episode to, our podcast series, but because today's guest is actually a longtime friend. I've known this guy for a very long time. He's a little bit of a wild card, but he's a really great guy. He's got some really crazy stories. He was actually telling me a few, when we were sitting down eating a little bit of sushi here.
Yeah.
We're having, a little bit of a combo. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Saddiq to the Two Sushi Rolls podcast.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. This will be interesting. It's my first time doing a podcast. This is going to be fun. Hopefully you guys get to hear some stories, have some fun with those, and we have a good time.
Yeah, definitely. So before we actually started recording, we were having a little bit of a conversation, and you were saying, first of all, you're a new dad, which congratulations to that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How's that treating you?
It's everything I wanted it to be. I love it. It's definitely very it's very fulfilling. Gives me a definite sense of accomplishment.
Now you're saying that it's everything you wanted it to be. So
Yeah.
what were you expecting it to be?
Well, I mean, so growing up, a lot of people, they want to be cops, they want to be firemen, politicians, lawyers, whatever. I just wanted to be a dad. I didn't have the greatest upbringing in my household, so I just wanted normalcy, and I figured, I'll get to have that chance when I have my own kids one day, so that's something to shoot for. That's kind of always been my goal in life, and now that I have it, I always used to sit there and think about what it would be like, and it very much lives up to the hype.
Nice.
Definitely.
Well, you clearly know I have 5 kids right now.
Yeah.
She's over here working.
I'm
She's
pregnant on number 6.
at number 6.
Congratulations.
All right, so we got a house full of sushi rolls here.
Yeah.
All right, which you guys may in the recording, you guys may hear in the background a little bit. They're actually, they're in their room having their own little sushi party.
They're a lovely combo pack.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, they're a handful, but they're really great kids. Definitely one of the best life experiences. I think it got me out of a lot of rough spots. I can't say that my life has been a walk in the park, but I wouldn't be where I am today if it hadn't been for those life experiences. And I mean, like I said, some of the most fulfilling ones are from being a parent. So,
True.
I think it does a lot. I think it does a lot.
I personally, I don't even think I've matured until had kids and knew how to take care of them or anything. I feel like I didn't know life before I even had kids.
Yeah, that's kind of how you can describe it. But at the same time, I'm noticing that you're actually still able to go out and have a little bit of fun.
A little bit.
A little bit of fun. It's not as crazy as what it used to be when we were younger.
Yeah.
But you were telling me about some experiences on DMT. If you guys don't know what DMT is out there, it's
dimethyltryptamine.
Yeah, dimethyltryptamine. It's a chemical that's actually naturally found inside of our brains. It's like what helps us dream and sleep, or something like that. Correct?
Yeah, it's found in the pineal gland.
Yeah, so something general around that. If you could actually get something that has that substance extracted from it, like ayahuasca, and I believe there's some tree barks, and I believe there's tons of things out there that actually have it. But if you actually ingest this or smoke this, you get, what people call a trip.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I have personally done tripping before when I was younger. I've done LSD. I've done psilocybin mushrooms, and like morning glory seeds, different stuff like that. But I believe that's LSA.
Yeah.
Which is like, very close relative to LSD.
Yes.
It's a hallucinogen. Great memories, great experiences. Very, very scary, and we're here calling them good memories. Yeah, but so how was that like? I've never done that before. I've never done DMT. How was that like?
So it was really interesting. It's unlike any trip I've ever done before. I mean, I've tried acid, I've tried shrooms. It it's the only trip I've ever had where you're completely incapacitated when it comes on.
What do you mean by incapacitated, though?
I mean incapacitated. I mean you just fall back in your seat, you close your eyes, and you just go into this other realm. It's just this. It's you're pretty much completely detached from what's going on around you. You your body kind of like tingles. It kind of like almost like vibrates a bit. Is the feeling you get. You kind of feel a vibration, and then the way it comes on is you just have this urge to close your eyes and lay back and just relax. And then once you do that, you start to just visualize things and see things like shapes and geometric patterns just unfolding in front of your eyes. And it's definitely crazy. Like acid, when I did that, I would see like trees breathing and stuff. But like with DMT. My first experience, I wasn't even able to really open my eyes. Like, it just bothered me. I just wanted to keep my eyes closed and like go wherever it was taking me. And
Now, some people say that it's not necessarily an out of body experience, but they say that you lose, I guess, the sense of the fact that you are a body. You kind of are more in touch with your actual soul, so to speak, your mentality a little bit more, and the fact that you have a body, it's so abstract, it becomes abstract to something so distant in that moment. Now, is that something that you experienced?
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned, we talked about it a little bit before while we were eating. I touched on that a bit. What happens is, I mean, for me in my experience, I kind of like after the shapes, after the geometric shapes and everything, I end up seeing what people call like the entity, and it's like a face that kind of emerges from like the darkness out of the shapes. And then after that is when I start like seeing flashes of like kind of like imagery. It's hard to explain because it's kind of like movie clips being played, but you're actually like witnessing it, almost experiencing it. I'd see like it's almost from like basic cells to becoming organs to becoming organ systems, and then like just the way it flashes, it implies those are the constructs and how they were made to give you thought, to give you sight, to give you this experience itself. And it's pretty crazy because like you don't feel like a person sitting there watching this happen. You feel like you're actually involved in everything going on. It's really extreme, I have to say.
Well, out of all the times that you've done this before, have you actually encountered like a bad trip or a moment where you were just like, man, what the hell did I just get myself into?
Only once. I was tripping out in. I usually would start off in my car. That's where I would do it because I didn't have a place indoors really. I was living at my mom's. So I was with my buddy and we were doing it in my car, and he wasn't used to like the security patterns or like their rounds and everything. So it's like 2 a.m. and we're in my car, and I just like took a huge hit, and I'm falling into the trip, and then all of a sudden my buddy's like, dude, the fucking cops are here. And like he keeps like kind of pulling me out of the trip and talking to me. And like when you are tripping on DMT, especially in the beginning, you want silence. You want to close your eyes. You don't want to have to look around and like be on your shit. And it was crazy. I don't really know how to explain it. It was almost like putting your head in a tornado. Like my vision was very, very blurry, and like it felt like the DMT was trying to pull me into this other dimension, and I was trying to hold on to this one. I definitely felt torn.
So in that moment of you getting pulled away into this like huge trip, well, you described it being almost like a tornado. And so during this whole time, you're trying to almost like keep a grasp on this is I'm real. This is reality.
Yes, and that brings me to a point. That's the only time I had a bad trip, and that was the only time I ever tried to fight where the trip was trying to take me. I was trying to stay here and not go where it was trying to go. And that's just general consensus with friends who've also done it too. You kind of, if you're ever looking to do it yourself, you definitely kind of just want to take it easy. Go with the flow. Don't try to fight it because that's how you'll have a bad trip. But if you just take it for what it is and go with the flow, it'll generally be a very enlightening, exciting experience.
Now, we aren't telling you guys out there to go out, try DMT. But, if it's something that out of your own free will, you're willing to, decide, what, I'm going to take that on, do it safely. And like he said, kind of take his advice on it, take it from somebody who's already done it. But, I think that's the same advice I would give for any hallucinogenics that we've talked about today, is that, of course, we're not encouraging anybody to go out there and break the law, but, all you little bad boys out there, all you little bad girls, if you guys decide to go out there and, do something, do it responsibly. Countless times I've heard stories of people who are like, man, I was on an acid trip and, I was thinking about, doing something stupid and, don't do that.
Definitely.
Like, don't do that. That's what gives these, mind opening and altering substances,
like the bad name.
It gives it the bad name, for God's sakes, barely right now. I think the stigma around, marijuana is finally being, broken. Mm-hmm. And, the stigma is being broken, but then new laws, social laws are being made, like now apparently saying marijuana, the word marijuana, is considered, racist because it demonizes Hispanics or whatever. I'm personally not of that mindset. I think it's pretty ridiculous the things people are offended nowadays. Yeah, fine, call it cannabis, but don't say that the word marijuana is racist. Come on.
We're banned from
you
saying
can, and you can even argue that, like, you can call it hashish, and that might be racist. But just it is what it is. I don't think anybody is really invested in a plant and what it's named.
Right. I think the biggest concern anybody should even be putting into this is, making it legal, doing a little bit more research on it, and finding a way to stop putting people in jail for it. For God's sakes. Did you guys hear about that story of that lady who hung the baby from the rafters in the basement?
Geez. Yeah.
Oh my.
Did you hear about this?
And then she ran over people?
Yeah, she ran over people.
She was a babysitter. She was babysitting that kid.
Babysitting or daycare, something like that. Point is this lady hangs a baby. She runs people over. She causes this huge issue.
People are like critical condition.
And the judge lets her off with probation
because he doubts that the sequence of events will ever happen again. And she had like a mental breakdown, I believe, or something happened to her.
Her husband's an abusive fuck, and she had a breakdown because of it. And so she went ahead and she did this, and like. I can kind of understand having breakdowns and stuff. I personally experience this myself. I get help for it. But under no circumstances do I go on like
and I'm gonna hang this child
spree and then go out and play Grand Theft Auto in the streets.
Yeah, what the hell is that? What the hell is that about?
And even though, like, of course, like, those with mental health issues, obviously they need help. They need to reach out. But no way should she just kind of get off like that, like how she did.
And what brought me to that subject is, like I said, let's get more studies in on this stuff. This lady's getting off with probation because whatever excuse the judge had for her, which, by the way, once somebody hangs a baby, don't give them another chance to do it. All right? Don't assume that there won't ever be another, array of situations that will bring her to this specific situation. It happened once, guy.
Like, how do you know, like, if she's,
Right. Yeah. And then you got these poor guys in jail because, of a plant. A plant. They're not necessarily going out killing anybody. I understand the debate behind it, that it causes crime. But, people, get it through your heads. If there is some kind of, legalized structure to how this plant is sold, produced, checked, whatever. FDA approved if you guys want, whatever the hell,
CBD just got FDA approved.
Right. That's not, see?
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So now, if we can do this, crime goes down.
Yeah, it's harder for,
It does.
minors to get it, once things become legal. It
becomes-
becomes more difficult.
It becomes less desirable. I mean, people in Amsterdam are a good example. If you ever go, you'll notice, for stoners, it's like weed mecca. But if you go there, not everybody has a fucking joint in their hands. They usually
Oh, yeah.
keep it to themselves.
They're-
They keep it indoors at cafes or in their homes, And the big reason for that is because it doesn't have this crazy stigma. It isn't popularized. It isn't like just thrust out there in your culture like it is here because it's taboo. And Americans, we fucking love taboo. That's who we are. People told us you couldn't have that religion, so we fucking sailed all the way across the world to start this place.
Right.
Portugal is another good example. I'm a huge proponent of legalizing things and treating people as people, not criminals, especially for substance use. If you look at Portugal, they decriminalize all substances and they treat it as a mental health issue. Crime has plummeted. Drug-related crime has plummeted. Incarceration rates have plummeted. Recidivism, people going back to jail, has decreased.
Yeah, it decreased from recurring.
So, I mean, it helps. It helps when you treat people like people and you give them options for a future rather than punish them for something and tell them that they're a bad person because they put a plant in their body, is really the point I'm getting at.
That's why I say about addiction. Like, you shouldn't put people in jail for addiction. They need help. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
And definitely, and when things are illegal, like with weed or anything, there's not a lot of research that's done because it's illegal. So they don't know the effects of weed on women or pregnancy or any of that. They don't know. So they can't even say anything because they're not even allowed to do the research.
Exactly. That's another huge thing. I happen to have Crohn's disease, which happens to be a disease in which cannabinoids help with my condition. They help with my appetite, help with nausea, they help with pain. Part of why people get the munchies is because of the effects that THC metabolites have on the gastrointestinal system, the digestive system, your stomach and your intestines. It actually helps with their growth and general health. And for people with Crohn's who have an autoimmune disease where their immune system's attacking them, pot actually is a mild immunosuppressant, so it weakens the immune system. So, when somebody like me is suffering from like a flare-up and we smoke, we can get almost instantaneous relief for hours at a time. That's actually how I got through my first year of dealing with Crohn's, even with multiple hospitalizations.
And do they give medications for that? Are there like pills or just surgery?
Yeah, there's surgery. There's medications like Remicade. There's immunosuppressors like older ones like sulfasalazine if you can't afford something like Remicade. And
they're the Ford.
And but I mean those things are like sulfur based and stuff. And really what they do is it's a trade off. It'll help you with one issue, but
then make another one worse.
Cause
or
other
not
side
even...
effects.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right, guys. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about this. And thank you for sticking around and listening, guys. You guys are listening to the Two Sushi Rolls podcast. We'll be right back with you guys. Hey guys, we're back from our break with our guest, Saddiq.
Hey everybody.
Now the conversation is getting so deep. We've talked about DMT, marijuana, all kinds of stuff.
Lady with the daycare.
Yeah, lady with the daycare hanging the baby. Definitely not a very subtle topic, is it?
Maybe marijuana would have helped her.
Right. Now, before we went on break, Mo, you were talking to us about the Crohn's disease you actually suffer with.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit more about that, man, because you know what? I've personally have had some issues and stuff, and you know my past with medical. Now, you were saying that some of the medications that are out there just, they're not up to par.
I mean, in certain situations, they do help. But for an extended run, for something that you have to deal with for the rest of your life, it's really not something that you want to have to rely on, especially if people have a pronounced condition with it. For some, diet and lifestyle isn't just enough, so you need a little bit of help with something. Generally, when you have a flare up, it's extremely painful. It's debilitating. Sometimes I'll be hanging out and then I'll just drop where I'm at, just like fall on the ground. And
What do you mean drop though? Like literally drop on the ground?
drop on the ground.
From pain?
Sometimes from pain. A lot of times it's more so like, so when you have a flare up, you'll be bleeding a lot on the inside. So your white blood cells pretty much tear at your digestive system when you have Crohn's, because there's a genetic trigger that basically tells your immune system that your digestive system isn't part of you. So it starts to think it's a foreign body, your immune system, and it sends the troops to go deal with it.
So attacking your own body, basically.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the nature of autoimmune diseases, and there's a huge spectrum of different kinds. Just one of them is Crohn's, but the pain can be debilitating. You suffer from blood loss. When I first had it and I didn't know how to deal with it, just balancing the psychological trauma of like going to the bathroom and like seeing yourself bleed, and it's graphic.
It's scary. That sounds scary.
It's graphic. It's definitely different. It's a game changer. It definitely makes you think about life. It makes you think about how long you've got, what you want to do with it, and it also makes you think about the medications that you're going to have to be dealing with. When I first was prescribed, they gave me OxyContin along with immunosuppressors. The OxyContin was for pain. That's pretty much medical heroin.
They prescribed to me Tramadol.
Yeah.
Tramadol.
Oh, they gave me that too.
They gave me Tramadol. They gave me anti-inflammatories, and it had gotten bad. And
then that's not a preferable method for everybody. Right now, America is experiencing an epidemic of opiates because of just the overprescribing of it, and making something like marijuana not a Section 1 like heroin, but bringing it down to like a Section 2 or a Section 3, something that can be studied, something that has medical benefits, because I think that debate's pretty much over. I mean, it helps people with epilepsy. I dated someone with epilepsy. It did help with that. It helps with abating the seizures. It helps with people who have cancer. It helps with Crohn's. I'm living proof. I think if you, to get to the heart of this conversation, if you really unlock that potential, you give scientists a chance to really study it, you give people the chance to really work with it, you could break that stigma of just drugginess and negativity that it has. Society could really benefit from it. And I think as a whole, we could probably improve healthcare for a lot of people.
And in your opinion, how would you be able to, as your fix, what do you think the fix that, government hasn't picked up on, what do you think it is? What would you do?
Really, end the war on drugs. That's what marijuana is largely a part of. That's largely what helped start the war on drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, at first, people argue that it was used to basically
gateway.
Well, they say it's a gateway, but at the same time, alcohol seems to be at the root of a lot of people's addictions and a lot of people's
definitely alcohol
forages into substance abuse or substance use, and just the way that it affects people, I think, is more dangerous than the way that marijuana does.
I mean, right now, I think the biggest threat the government should be looking into, and also, when I say threat, people calm down. Don't automatically think that we're talking about putting people in jail. But there are a lot of people overdosing on heroin. I don't know if it's been fact checked yet, but I guess in the United States, the death count for heroin overdoses has completely surpassed those done by guns. So I mean, our people are people really killing themselves at a faster rate than somebody else who would come up to them with a gun?
I could definitely see it. Having lived with a heroin addict myself, and been through the ups and downs and the ins and outs of a relationship with that person, definitely, I definitely could see that. My family also has a history with opiates. It's the reason why my mother was enslaved in her home country.
And what's her home country again?
That was Pakistan. This is back during the 60s. There wasn't very much government oversight into the Himalayan regions and provinces like Murray, the province my mom is from. And so it was very easy for people like the precursors to the Taliban, the Mujahideen, to move into the area. We can get really into
All that history.
different things with that another time if you'd like. But basically, it was militant groups who were trained to produce opiates to sell in order to acquire weaponry to resist communists, namely the Russians. And so what they did was they moved into my mother's village, and they kind of tricked the simple people there. They're just goat farmers, tobacco planters, and told them, oh, well, could you sell us some of your land? And we'll pay you to work on it, and we're making medicine to sell to the Chinese. And so
of course, they're like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
This is a village that really hasn't been influenced by the outside world very much for about 1,200 years. It was founded 1,200 years ago, roughly. And the only way up into it are just foot trails, or the major way in is a very wide, shallow stream. You can either take like a jeep, like a four-wheeler, or an animal, like a donkey or a horse. But most people just walk it. It's about a day trip from the base to the village, and not many people go there. There's not really much to be trading or doing there. So when these guys came in, you could say that my ancestors, my family, they were very gullible. And so they're like, yeah, sure, why not? We could use some money.
Yeah.
So they sold some of the land. And then these guys wanted more land. And eventually they would make backroom deals with family members or members of the village that felt like they were scorned or felt like they didn't get their fair share or their fair lot in life. And so basically a lot of violence ensued. People would kill people, brutalize people. There was kidnappings, where they would basically kidnap people, bring them to like a den, shoot them up with heroin, and then, pretty much get people addicted.
So that they would have no choice, basically.
But to succumb and give in to what these people want. And of course, the more people that they got, the more aggressive they got. And it got to a point where these people actually killed my mother's father on the Muslim version of Christmas.
Wow.
They were in the village market, the bazaar, the center place.
Right.
And he was going to go home real quick, grab some money so he can get, food and sweets and everything for the family, have dinner. And he didn't come back for a long while. So they sent my uncle. And so my uncle apparently has seen some things, but till his death never told us what he saw. But basically, he witnessed my grandfather being beaten to death and then hung at the gate of my family's home. And that's what this shit does. I'm quite sure that it's even worse in other parts of the world, like South America and Central America and Mexico.
Yeah, right now, the story you're telling me right now, it's
reminiscent.
Exactly. Could it be any more of a mirror image of what the hell is happening right now? It's the same thing happening all over Mexico. All over south of the border. And, it clearly, come on, man. How does that not make people nervous? It makes me nervous.
Yeah.
And, I'm of Hispanic descent, it honestly, it makes me angry. It makes me angry, I think, because of the fact that it's like, majority of the time when these things happen, it's like you say, they grab people who are families from local, they're gullible, and if they're not gullible and they're smart, you're dead. If you don't do what we say, you're dead. So I think it's better to be stupid than be aware in those situations. And, a lot of people, for God's sakes, they're killing people over avocado farms. These people don't care if it's
Oh, they
marijuana. This is what the government needs to understand. This isn't an issue with drugs a lot of the time. I mean, for God's sakes, what they're killing people right now is you either give us a cut of what you're selling in avocados, and clearly people, I mean, here in the United States as well as many other parts of the world, I mean, come on, avocado is in everything. Everybody is loving it.
And
You know,
it's
My
extremely
baby has
healthy.
avocado.
exactly. It's extremely healthy, but it's also very expensive. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
very good commodity to get into.
The
If you
guac is extra, basically.
exactly. Now, you know, now we're dealing with a situation where could we consider these blood avocados? I mean, not to make light of the
Yeah.
matter, but I mean, for God's sakes, avocados. And the government's like, no, it's the drugs, and this is why. No, this is over avocados as well. I mean, are we going to get to the point where we're going to be, you know,
It's all over. They want to cut, basically.
yeah, they want a cut of everything. And I mean, when are we going to get to the point where we're like, you know what, let's cut the bullshit. Let's stop pretending like the enemy here is drugs and marijuana. Let's get to the real deal.
I would say it's corporate greed. I mean, I find it hilarious that, you know, in the 50s, we fucked up Central America, and that's where the name Banana Republic comes from. And I just find it so goddamn ironic that this corporate system that pushed for these banana republics, where we went in and we propped up dictators in places, and we meddled in democratic elections, much like some people say Russians like to do. But we went in there, we messed with elections, we propped up dictators so that we could lower the price of bananas. I mean,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
and for a corporate system, and just for a capitalist system, and it's just the fucking icing on the cake. There's a clothing company called Banana Republic,
Right.
and people buy from it and love it.
And it's
just
like a
ridiculous.
high-end company.
Yeah.
It's not
That-
a cheap one either, which
It's
is ironic,
not-
too.
It's
Yeah.
blatant.
Let's go into a quick little, I guess let's go into a little conspiracy theory here, folks. Not to sound like Alex Jones, crazy ass.
They're making the frogs gay.
We're making the frogs gay. No, but I mean, like, do you think that maybe the U.S. has, in some kind of way, had some kind of influence, and the leaders have been getting put in Mexico for the same reason? I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Uncle Sam is going to do anything to get their cut. I mean,
Oh,
come on,
of
let's
course.
be
You
real.
can't
Absolutely.
really think.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, is it really that far-fetched for it to be a theory? I mean, I don't think so.
Well, let me put it this way. I pay attention to politics. Progressive populists are the ones who win elections now. In the American election that took place in 2016, there were only two. There was Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. You had real progressive populism, and then you had, I'm going to do this, but, you know, fake progressive populism. And I find it unsurprising after the last president, was it Maduro?
Who? In Mexico?
Yeah. No.
No, before the one that they just had right now was President Fox.
Yeah, Vicente Fox.
Vicente
but,
Fox, yeah.
The one they had just now, he's on his way out.
Yeah.
And largely, people were saying, you know, fuck his mother.
Yeah.
Because he promised a lot and didn't bring it. He was pretty much like Mexico's Barack Obama.
Yeah,
in
that
a
they're
lot of
saying,
ways.
chinga tu madre, fuck your mom.
And now, it's unsurprising that the guy who ran with the progressive populist platform is the guy who won.
Can you check real quick what the last president of Mexico was? Let's get his name. I do know that this guy, they really did not like him. Like his whole freaking term, man. His whole fucking term. They didn't like this guy. They basically, he was like a George Bush. He was very stupid, not very smart. You know, if you're gonna be, he didn't even know how to speak clear English with people.
Is this
Oh,
possibly?
there we go. And Enrique, hang on, what is it?
Peña Nieto.
Peña Nieto. Yeah. He's giving us all light Mexican brothers a really bad name because
Yeah,
this guy
he's
was.
very light.
Yeah. I mean, he's light skinned.
Yeah.
Very handsome guy. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But he's very fucking dumb.
Oh.
I mean, I think a bag of russet potatoes have more intelligence than this man. Now,
His wife was a novella actress.
yes, she is.
Yeah.
You should
I heard
pull up the house that they have together, Peña Nieto, and his actress of a wife.
Yeah,
all
she's
right?
an actress.
Yeah, she's an actress. She's big. I mean, this isn't like little people. And you should see the estate that these guys are living in.
Whoa.
Show him.
Oh my goodness. Look at this.
Describe that for the people who
All right.
obviously can't see. What are you seeing here?
So it's like super modern,
This
very,
home,
very expensive looking architecture.
extremely modern. That's a good way to describe it. It's modern. It's not what you think.
A Mexican president would have. I mean, look
Exactly.
at the look at the condition the people are living in.
Yeah. Oh, their lights, like they have, it looks like color changing lights in their house, like extremely high tech.
The funny thing is that all those lights are probably installed by a guy who's even more fucking thief than he is, and he probably got those lights on Wish. Probably,
Wish.com.
yeah, probably took like 3 months to get there, and you probably got them for $13, and he tells Penny in it, you know what?
These are $100 lights.
These are $100 lights. They came from the U.S. They came from the U.S. Don't you want these?
God.
And he's like, but it's gonna cost you a pretty penny. And this guy's just like, yep. It's on it's on the citizens, it's on their tab.
And why is he stupid? What did he do?
He's just very dumb. I mean, most of the interviews that he's done, he's very dumb. He's very
Not
George
well
Bush.
spoken?
He's yes. He's very George Bush. Not Donald Trump dumb, where it's like he's dumb as in he's saying some very dumb inflammatory things. This is more of just the shit he says. It's very ditzy. I mean, he's a fucking blonde. And yeah, people are basically saying, you know what, chinga tu madre. We don't want you here anymore. And now they've done their election, and the person who they've chosen to be their president, I'm not too familiar on what his name is, but they believe that he's going to do some kind of change. Now, is he,
Yeah,
right?
That's the
the
question.
difference?
The magical question.
Right. So I'm not going to sit here and judge the guy just yet. I know a little bit about him, but not enough to publicly be speaking about him and giving any kind of judgment. But let's wait and see. I think they have to wait until the current guy basically leaves office. It's very similar to what happens here in the U.S. So let's wait and see what he does. I mean, wouldn't it be crazy if this is the guy who fixes everything?
Fixes Mexico.
But see that I can't remember the president's name. See, I don't even know why I'm talking on a subject. But there was this guy who was running for president years ago, and during one of his I guess rallies that he was doing, he was shot. He was shot. He was murdered. He was slain. And I mean, it's on video. I mean, I think years ago when I was a fucking kid sneaking movies that I shouldn't have been watching, there was this movie. There was this series called Faces of Death. I don't know if any of you guys are very familiar. Very gory. Very gory. Basically, people dying. I mean, they had this at Family Video and Blockbuster. I mean,
Oh my
it's
God.
very crazy. It's very
The glory
crazy.
days.
Yeah, but I mean, this was like just footage of people dying. And I remember this Mexican president, the footage of him going to this rally. I mean, he had all these people. I mean, he had Mexico hyped.
For change.
Yeah. I mean, this was for change. They believed that he was going to do change. And they believed very highly that he was going to be able to fix Mexico.
And they killed him.
And the corrupt people were like, no, he's going to completely kill our business.
I mean, right now, I think in this last election, I think the figure I last heard was somewhere around 163 people, representatives, were killed running.
Why?
For Mexico's election?
Yeah, for the different,
Wow.
just the different seats, just cartels not liking the fact that they're talking about stirring up change and not working with them, and just other corrupt businesses paying off cartels to take them out in order to keep the status quo. I think the reason why a progressive populist won in Mexico right now is because they got a taste of the American kind of capitalist scheme and run rampant, and it fucked them. Wasn't it one of their presidents was the owner of a cell phone company or something?
Man, I don't know. Who? Honestly, I wouldn't know. I would.
Wish I did more research into this.
Yeah,
but,
definitely. But yeah, I mean, it's even the same thing with any U.S. election. It's like, let's see who he has ties to. Somebody's gonna pay enough money to get this guy in the seat to basically. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The whole Banana Republic thing. We do it to ourselves. We do it to ourselves, for God's sakes.
I mean, at this point, I mean, here in America, our like recently, our head of education department, Betsy DeVos, just somebody apparently vandalized her $40 million yacht.
Yes, her yacht.
Her family has
Her
10 of them, though. This is just one of 10.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I didn't know that.
The thing is, she invests, before she got her job, she was investing in a lot of these companies that, in a lot of these companies that collect on student debt.
Oh, wow.
And now she's she's deregulating the fuck out of the student debt industry.
Is she the head of education? She's like,
Yes.
Could you believe this?
She's the one who dictates. I mean, her brother is Eric Prince. Not many people know him if you're not too familiar with politics, but Grand Theft Auto actually spoofed him. He's the head of, I think it was Blackwater in there.
Wow.
But or maybe that's the name of like, I think it's Blackwood or something like that. But he's basically like this mercenary guy. Like this, he's like the Jeff Bezos of like mercenaries. And he's very much in Donald Trump's ear. He was actually the guy who suggested that we privatize part of our CIA and intelligence department.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
And
fuck those guys.
These are the people.
That's what I say. Don't trust them. Fuck those guys.
I mean, they're having meetings with like the Trumps and other ambassadors, like the Emirates of Dubai and other countries in the Seychelles Islands. You only go to the Seychelles Islands when you don't want people to follow you, like the media, when you're doing something dirty. I mean, fucking Metal Gear is placed in the Seychelles Islands because they don't want people following them.
Right.
And let's be clear, guys. We can do a whole fucking episode on Metal Gear, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I fucking love it, all right? You know, Hideo Kojima, I love you.
Oh, yeah.
I love you so much. Man, I mean, I could do a whole episode on that. But anyways, to segue a little bit into, you mentioned Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
He is the founder of Amazon.com.
Yes.
All right.
Ooh.
Now, look, people have so many mixed emotions about this guy.
Well,
all right. Look,
strikes going
yes,
on
yes,
right
yes,
now.
yes. But that's any business. We're just hearing about it because this guy has just become
Extremely big.
the richest fucking guy, right? Is he the richest one? He's the richest son of a bitch on earth.
Yeah.
I mean,
wait,
I think he topped $150 billion net worth on Amazon Prime Day.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, look, whatever your opinion on Jeff Bezos is, don't fucking tell me you guys aren't abusing, and just
Amazon
fucking
Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I have to say
It's
that
like a necessity.
It's a necessity in
at
my
this point.
Yeah, in my fucking life, it's a necessity. Now listen, on my computer, it's two things that come up automatically. All right. Now I'm gonna get a little bit nasty here.
Oh, gosh.
All right. I'm gonna get a little bit nasty. But my top two things on my computer is it's gonna be Amazon, and then it's gonna be porn. Lots of porn, but lots of Amazon fucking Prime, guys. All right? There's nothing more that gets my dick hard than clicking the fucking button on buy now on something that I absolutely do not fucking need.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
I've definitely been there.
I can go in there and see something that I'll probably use once. I'll probably use twice. I may just use it. I may use it. I mean, some of the stuff. I mean, I won't lie. I mean, some of the equipment we're recording on right now was from Amazon. Really great guys. You know, keep shopping there.
I mean, I
you know?
do it for baby stuff.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
like we said, I'm expecting, and they give me some massive discounts that any new parent would want.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, we're joking about it here, and it's kind of leading to like a guilt trip, you know, because we're gonna talk about, I guess, the conditions under which Amazon employees go through and the way that it kind of destabilizes economies where they set up their little factories. But I mean, the thing is, the argument that I'd like to kind of put at the forefront also is this guy, his net worth is $150 billion. You're telling me he can't take better care of his people and still offer this convenient ass service that is probably not going to be rivaled for a very long time.
Well, that's not necessarily true. How fast-paced business work, especially with something like them. All right. Yes, a lot of people. It's easy to say, "Oh, come on, man, your people aren't going to surpass you." That's not true. It could happen. It could literally happen within weeks if he drops the fucking ball. This is what a lot of people don't understand. All right, when you have a business, and you start fucking with that much money, all right?
Oh my gosh.
The bigger amount of money that you are working with, the bigger the problems, the harder
Facebook.
the harder it is, to keep track of it, maintain it. You got to pay more taxes. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. All right. Now, yes, I do believe that the employees should definitely be getting treated a little bit better, definitely. But those are resolutions that I think people try to say, well, you could do this and things will be better. But now, guys, the Amazon, I think, is going to be doing some really revolutionary stuff. Amazon, we love you, but you have to start treating your employees fairly. You got to give them more of a fucking bathroom break, all right? These people are pissing in fucking bottles.
Yeah.
They're pissing in fucking bottles, all right? And
for definitely a price that's not worth pissing in bottles.
Correct. I think that they need to find some better method. If you guys have innovated thus far into becoming such a fucking juggernaut of the shopping industry, and and the e-commerce business,
there's got to be a way where you could
revolutionize it. You know what? If you guys need to, I know a guy. All right, his name is Elon Musk.
Oh my god!
You guys go to the son of a bitch and give him any problem, and he'll try to fucking solve it. Get Elon Musk to go in there and be like,
probably with the use of DMT as well.
Yeah, be like, hey Elon, we can't figure out a system where
we aren't
losing productivity. Our people are pissing in bottles. What can we do? And then Tesla will come in and resolve it for you. He'll probably have he'll invent some robot. And he'll be like, this robot connects through a hose to any dick or vagina out there. And it'll suck the piss out of them. There won't be any need for them to leave. And we grab this piss. It becomes energy. All right? It becomes energy.
You won't even lose money.
You won't lose money.
You could actually power the whole...
You can pull the nitrogen out of the piss.
Yeah, you could power your whole fucking facility and still have enough money left over to give incentives to your employees. Now, I don't know if that's what Elon Musk is going to do, but I'd like to believe that that's the steps he's going to take. All right, guys, enough goofing around on Jeff Bezos and all this. Man, I think we've been having a really, really, really great show. I've been enjoying it. I do got to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for actually coming down here and, being part of our first episode of our launching of our, podcast that we have been working very hard on.
Yes.
For all the listeners out there, there's been a few bumps and noises. We're sorry. All right, we're working on it today. We definitely had to launch the first production today. She's going to be going into labor, so we have to be a little bit ahead of the schedule than what we normally wanted to plan with. So for all we know, by the time people hear this episode, she may already have had the baby. But
that's how far along I am.
Yeah, but we definitely appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you guys.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you
know
so
it
much.
was kind of a struggle to come all the way over here, but we're so glad that you made it. We're so glad.
There's a lot of corn. There's a lot of corn on this journey.
We kind of live in the middle of nowhere compared to where
Well, we used to be, but I'll tell you this much. I'd rather have corn than gunshots.
Oh,
because, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not listening from Illinois or the Chicago area, you want to be around the fucking corn.
Yeah, where we're from, it was gunshots.
We were before there was gunshots. You want to stay away from gunshots.
And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah,
we're like cornfields, no more gunshots.
Yeah, it's a no fucking brainer. Plus, better schools.
Yeah.
We got a cozy little home, which hopefully in the upcoming months, we'll get a little bit of a better studio space. Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for breaking bread, breaking sushi with us. Thank you so much once again. And guys, for the next episode, we'll be having a next guest. We'll be actually posting it up on all the social medias. Please go on there. If you could actually go to Instagram and you could follow us on the 2 Sushi Rolls.
Yes, just look up 2 Sushi Rolls. Right now we don't have much, but we definitely will.
Yeah, so, follow us on there, get all the updates. We're also going to be getting merch pretty soon. So hopefully we get you guys to listen and actually, get some merch. We'll also be giving away some stuff in the upcoming episodes. Also follow our Facebook page.
Which is also just 2 Sushi Rolls.
Mm-hmm. And also find us on Twitter as well, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Mama Bear? Oh, okay.
We're gonna be.
Yeah,
We're
you guys.
trying to get all that all made up.
Yeah, basically all the socials. So please, guys, keep a lookout. Hopefully, we'll catch you guys on the next episode with a new guest on a new time. All right. And thank you so much for listening. This was the Two Sushi Rolls podcast. And you guys have a good day. This is Papa Bear.
And this is Mama Bear. Thank you.
And you guys have a good one.